It's time. We are about 30 minutes from tip off. We got the first game in almost 2 years that UVA has been in the NCAA tournament. How are you feeling, Fresh?
We're good, man. I get goosebumps every time I watch your video. The videography, is that a word? The video
Yeah.
skills are great. The music's on point. Getting to see all the guys doing good stuff, which I hope they've been watching this week. I hope we're focusing on what we do well and not what we don't do so well. And let's go.
Dave, how are we feeling about Furman?
Feeling pretty good. We've done some research, some video breakdown a little bit. Um, Mentioned they're the fourth highest offensive scoring team per possession in the country, so that's the concern. Athletically and size wise, though, I don't think there's really concerns there. So I think it just comes down to a battle of styles, their offense versus our defense, and whether their lack of defense allows us to be patient to actually get inside and use our advantage inside today. So I think those are probably the biggest keys.
Can we run on them?
I don't think we want to because they want to
I
run.
get that. I got you. Yep, that makes sense. That makes
I
sense.
think we can because I don't think they minutes. Now, can they? Obviously, there's teams that can in the tournament because everyone's focused for 40 minutes, super focused, super energy. But they haven't done it very consistently all year. Now, a big part of that is they're making shots at a very high rate, so they haven't had to get back because the ball's going through the
that's
hoop a
true.
lot for them.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that a lot of so-called experts are saying that we're the most likely to be upset. They're gonna beat us. The stats that all the experts, so-called experts, are saying that. But I mean, if you look at this the historical data, I mean, this is a Furman team that lost by almost 20 to NC State. So I mean, they haven't proven that they
Yep.
could hang against like real competition yet, and this is a team that hasn't been to the NCAA tournament in almost 45 years. So I mean, they're not necessarily prepared, and they don't have the same type of experience in bigger games that a lot of our guys have. Again, that does come with a part that they're going to be coming out strong, and this is like the Tony Bennett was talking about at his press conference the other day. Kind of the same mentality that a low major team has coming out against a high major, a little bit of something to prove, but at the same time, they're not as experienced on this big stage. What do you think about that, Fresh?
I think the arena is a big deal because Wofford plays in those kind of big high school type gymnasiums, not really arenas for the most part.
Furman.
I think that's a really big deal when you go to that as a player. It's easier to play in an NBA arena and then go to a high school type gym. It's really hard. It's a lot harder when you're in this cavernous thing like Hoosiers, completely misrepresented on that in that movie for anybody that likes that. It's a totally different thing. It's not 94 feet. 94 looks 1,000 feet. The depth is different. And it's a big deal. But on Furman's side, hey man, nothing to lose. They're excited. NCAA tournament, national TV. I think it's national TV. Playing against
Yeah.
University of Virginia. Things that these kids dream about. And these kids, these players at some point, high school, even in college, have played against really good players, and they probably played well against them. And so they're excited for that opportunity for sure. As is their coach.
Yeah, I mean, Furman plays in a gym that has a capacity of 4,000, and
Right.
today they're playing in a 20,000 person arena in
It's very
Amway Center.
different.
It's definitely. I mean, you know best out of all of us, playing on those big stages is definitely a different atmosphere. Dave, is there any statistics? You're the stats guy. Any specific statistics from Furman that stick out at you?
Yeah, I think, like I mentioned, by the way, West Virginia, two of our favorite teams are playing each other right now, kicking off the tournament, West Virginia and Maryland. West Virginia scores the first 2 points of the tournament. Um,
There we go.
but yeah, their four main scores are all in double are they're also their highest efficiency. So they're not just chuckers, at least in their conference. They score at a high rate per shot. So I think the key would be for us is to get them out of their comfort zone. Don't give up easy looks early in shot clocks, make them uncomfortable. Their pace is high, again, 4th in the country in offensive efficiency. In watching some of the tape, there wasn't a whole lot of other teams that I saw. I saw 3 or 4 games making them uncomfortable with what they were doing. Both teams were kind of you score, I'll score, kind of mentality. The storyline that was kind of interesting to me is they lost last year in their conference championship game on a 35-footer after winning the regular season. And so their coach said he actually called up Tony and talked to him about like the disappointment, kind of like what we went through in 2018. And so they actually talked about turning the disappointment. I actually heard a couple of their players in the press conference mention the language of turning the disappointment into something that could be great.
Yep.
And then they came back, but even with that, it was still a 1-possession game with about 6-7 minutes left in their conference championship. So it wasn't like they were just destroying teams within their conference, and it's not a great conference. So again, I would just say, let's make them as uncomfortable as you can. Doug, to your point, if we can push it on offense, I think there's going to be opportunities because our speed. I think if Reese can get out with Armand, with maybe McNeely hitting a 3 here or there, knowing that we're going to get back anyway, I think we just have to be judicious with it and not get into. I mean, we're not going to get into an up and down game, but if we can get out for maybe 8 to 10 easy baskets, and then for me, it's they don't have someone that's Filipowski and lively inside against Gardner, right? So I think these are the games that Gardner tends to. What I'm hoping is he does not sit out at 12 to 15 feet. He gets in there, he uses muscle today, and actually gets inside. Because if he can do that, he's going to create offensive rebounding opportunities for Dunn and for Shedrick, even for Armand, those guys to get in there because they're going to have to double team. If he does what he should do, they're going to have to double team him today.
Yeah, the good news on that part, you're comparing Filipowski and Lively, et cetera. This is an eye-to-eye game, right? It's not an eye-to-shoulder game for us. You don't see 4 inches like you made the point, 4 inches across and everything. This team, and I haven't watched as much. I literally watched 4 clips, and I had good takeaways. They're big guys, can put the ball on the floor. They're not afraid to get you moving and go at you, and they do that. Jason made the point, and I noticed it. They do that it's the J right spin, turn around, back down, and try to create space inside the lane. So they go at the basket and then they turn on you. And I guess you can see the floor that way. You're looking for 3-point shooters, but you can also create space. They remind. I've been looking at their guards only today. It makes me think a little of Wake and a lot of NC State, because we talk about Terquavion Smith, my 42nd cousin, 3 times removed at NC State, who's an all-star. He's an NBA guy probably, but the kid Joyner becomes really, really dangerous. He had multiple 25-point plus games. So their 2 guard, Jeff Jones, brought up to Jason Williford. He said, how are you going to guard him? And his name is what, Dave? I keep wanting to say Bromwell.
Mike Bothwell.
Bothwell. He actually declared for the draft last year just to test it and came back. So that's real. And then Pegues from Nashville, Tennessee, Hillsborough High School is their point guard, who's, I think, older.
Yep.
And he wants to prove something in the NCAA. So I assume the point guard's going to have Kihei, and then the 2 guard will have Reese. We never worry about our guards on that end. But it makes me think of Wake. Is this coach going to say, let's go with these guys and get fouls on them the way at the game you were at, right? And, that's what I would do if I were Furman. Yeah. I'd try to create foul problems anyhow.
We're getting a live look in from inside Amway Arena from TW, who's at the game right now.
Let's go.
I think I saw Grant right sitting in a row ahead of him. But yeah, we got it's just now filling in. Nice. Yep, there's Grant right here.
Say hello, Grant.
Yeah, we're filling in now. Looks like
cool. I feel like I'm there.
Definitely going to be a much bigger stage than Furman is used to. I can tell you that for sure.
Grant looks a solid 19 years old.
Yeah, the one matchup, I would say the one matchup, Slauson is their starting power forward, and he's their best 3-point shooter. So Gardner's going to have to stay out on him. He's going to have to really get up in him, and hopefully he can bother him by getting out on him. So that's probably the biggest. That's the guy that can go off for 25 if we don't cover him right.
Dave, what kind of bench do they have? I know their starters across the board are solid, all 3-point shooters.
Yeah,
Can we wear them down?
per game, minutes-wise, it's 4 guys that are north of 26 minutes. Then they have 24, 21, 17, and 12. I'm sorry, that's the wrong team. Let me look at theirs. 33, 30, 32 minutes, 29. Yeah, so they got 4 guys north of 29 minutes. But they do play 9 guys. Carter Witt's, well, they play, about 9 guys. Carter Witt, who was at Wake Forest. He's the one that came early from high school. He plays 12 minutes. Another guy plays 11 minutes. So I don't know how much they're going to play. It's really 7 guys heavy for the most part. And then the other guys, Tyrese Hughie and Carter Witt, are the 8th, 9th guys. So we'll see if they shorten it, or if because they like to run and they get out and they play at a higher pace. They've generally played more guys. Those are the consistent guys that have played at least double figure minutes, nine guys. So we'll see what they do today.
And multiple reports I've seen. Sorry, Spence. Multiple reports I've seen is they don't put a lot of pressure on the ball. I wonder if this is a game where they're going to dare us. You probably get out on Armand for sure. Do you dare Kihei? Do you dare Reese a little bit? Isaac they'll get out on, I think, at this point. Do you dare Ryan Dunn when he comes in? Are they going to be sagging in that way? So, helping, et cetera. We'll see.
If I'm them, I don't let Gardner go off inside.
Yeah.
So I double off of Kihei, Reese, and everybody else not named Isaac and Armand. That's what I would think the game plan would be.
We've got coming in news that the starting 5 for today is going to be the same as it's been, with the replacement of Caden Shedrick is going to enter in the starting lineup for Poppy.
Ooh.
So we got Kihei, Reese, Armand, Jaden, and Caden coming in.
That's interesting. I would
make
not have
sense
seen that
since their starting center, Garrett Hine, 6'9", 205, so not a whole lot of girth, but he's another one of those guys that will shoot it. Like Doug was saying, let me see what he's shooting.
That would be like if Spencer was 6'9". He'd be about 205, I think.
Exactly.
That's a skinny 6'9".
Yeah,
that's exactly. Like the Pittsburgh kids, the Pittsburgh Twins.
We had a guy on my college team that was 6'8", 185, and he was a 2-guard.
That was Anthony Hardaway in high school. He was about 6'7", 6'8", 165, and could fly.
Yeah.
All right, that's interesting. We're shaking it up. We're playing chess here. TB.
Well, it's interesting. I'm looking at the West Virginia Maryland game right now, and the stadium looks pretty empty. So I'm wondering if the early slate is going to have an effect on the. I know it's a sellout for the session, but I'm not sure.
Well, what happens is that makes sense, because what happens in these 20,000 seat arenas? Virginia's got 6,000 fans. Furman's got 5. Whatever the number is, half of those show up early. They show up by the second part of the first half. The later games, people stay around, right? So you have all the Virginia, you have all the Furman, you have all the West Virginia, all the Maryland. Exactly. It's a tricky slate. I'd rather play early than late. I was looking at
tickets, even for Greensboro. I was looking to see if I wanted to, because Kentucky's playing the late session here tomorrow night in Greensboro. But the early session, I literally can get tickets for $8.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah. So, there's a ton. It usually is empty those first 2 days in the afternoon sessions.
Yeah, it's cavernous, and you hear the. It's not a roar from the crowd. It's a roar from a section and a cheer from the section. Yeah. I think one thing before I forget it, it kept popping in my mind. Locker room access with our reach. We actually have a Wake Forest computer science professor. I think he's the head of. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dave. I think he's the head of the group at Furman, but he's a huge Wahoo fan. His icon is the Virginia sweatshirt with the trophies, and it's cool because he's telling us how good Furman is. Not a cakewalk, which I don't buy that, Mr. Paladin. That's okay. But then we also have a Furman math professor who did his formula NCAA tournament, and he's obviously, I think, having fun with it, which is cool. But he gives Furman a 39% chance to win. I guess all his kids are going to be failures in mathematics later in life, because that's not even close to possible. But it's all really cool, right? The connections.
And what's interesting is a lot of the national guys were picking Furman as an upset, but I saw they were picking Drake too. And then I'm looking at the the spread, like even Duke is only favored by 5 or 5.5
I
right
was
now,
going to say the same
and
thing.
they're
I
picking
saw
Duke
that.
to go all the way to the Final Four. A lot of them. So we got a 6-point spread, and Duke's got a 5-point spread. So it's like, okay, these 12-5, 13-4, it really just is up to who plays better those games, and there's just so little known about the smaller conference teams because they don't play 10 games against the bigger conferences. We
Yeah.
just don't know how
Yeah,
they're going to play, and yeah.
I think that a lot of people are very high on Oral Roberts. I think that if they didn't have that first round Duke matchup, I think that a lot of people would
Yep.
pick them to go further. But I mean, we saw.
Oh, Spence froze. Can you hear me okay, Doug?
Yeah, I mean, you were
Okay,
good, I
so
think.
Spence froze.
Yep.
Froze on us.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I'm
Sorry.
back now, right?
College
Yep.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Spence,
Yeah.
what's going on? What's going on grounds, bro? Like, what are people doing for the game? Is
Everyone's
Trent
in
packed?
class right now. I mean, all my friends have class. I think that we might catch the second half down in the corner, but I think that there's going to be a lot of computers watching, as always, watching March Madness during class.
I'm afraid your dad's possibly tuning into this, so I won't tell you what he and I would have done in such an instance in 1992 or so. So go to class, get done, and you can always watch it on DVR.
We don't have those anymore, Fresh.
Oh shit.
Well, what's funny is I was West Coast in high school while this was going on, and so it started at 9 a.m.
I was gonna say 8 a.m. Right?
So that was that was madness for us. I was like, come on, we have to be in school for the entire first session of the day.
I remember. I mean, even last year, like for my entire high school, middle school, and my first year here at UVA, like you sit in class on the first day, and if you sit in the back, you see everyone's screen is watching March Madness. There's
cool?
not, and like in some classes, the teach like in like high school, middle school, teachers understand, and they've got a game up on the screen, and then you got one on your computer, one on your phone. And I think that at one point we had like 4 or 5 games on at once in the middle of math class.
Hey, you can learn a lot from it, man. Like the Furman professor, how about let's do some
That's
math
right.
about this and follow
Let's do
things.
some probabilities.
My 2-year-old son, he was telling me, Dad, they gave me ST for my tournament for the basketball games. He has no idea what he's talking about. Turns out he has St. Mary's. And he goes, Dad, their coach is Bennett. I go, no, you're thinking about Tony Bennett. Turns out the coach of St. Mary's last name is Bennett. So you can learn.
And it's like, I think it was Mark was saying it, and it might have been a Jay Willie show that Ty got in trouble. He got called home for watching March Madness in class. I mean, some of those kids that were watching in class could end up being on the big dance someday. So
that's amazing.
Wait, he got called home? Perfect. Now I can really watch it, right?
Yeah.
They called home and said your son was on his phone during class or something.
We're going to keep him here and punish him.
Mark was like, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Good for him. Good for him.
All right.
So take Virginia out of the equation, Spence. Who do you like in the tournament at large?
I like Houston. Houston, I was at that game that we played them, and they just looked like just a better team. They're hitting some shots that like we were playing perfect defense, and they're hitting shots. They're physically really good. I know they had that one guy was a Sasser that had a bit of an ankle injury. I don't know how severe that is.
I think he's been a little bit in and out all season, I believe, or at least last year maybe. So that's unsettling. They had the other guard I like a lot. Speaking of the Joyner
Shed
Smith thing.
Yeah,
he's smaller. He's not quite as big, but he's tough.
Yeah, he took care of Kie pretty well that game. Shot right over him.
Yeah, I remember watching down the stretch of that game. We were trying to make a run back. I think that we were within maybe 5, and they had this one guy who hit this like crazy fadeaway in the corner on over Jaden Gardner, who played it perfectly. And at that point, I was like, this is a good basketball team. I think that this year there isn't one elite team necessarily, but I think that they might be the closest thing to it.
They're a 5-star freshman, Tremont Mark. He
had a huge game against us. I called it his coming out party, and everybody's like, he's not coming out. He's McDonald's all American. I was like, I'm talking about in college. Houston, I've watched them a lot this year because I knew we were going to play him, and it's the team when you go to the bathroom to do whatever you got to do in the bathroom, you come back, and they were down by 10. Next thing you know, they're literally up by 2 points after you take your one.
Yeah, I think I saw break on some. I don't remember exactly what it was somewhere on Twitter that they have the best like momentum swings. It was like a graph
Yeah.
of like who gives up the most runs and who
Most 10
has
point,
the most
10
runs.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
10-0.
Yeah.
And I saw that thing come through in Locker Room Access. I said, I'm not even going to open it. And I'm going to tell you it's Houston
Yep.
without looking. I didn't realize that Gonzaga was up there. Houston's my pick too, if anybody cares, outside of us. I think I would love to see them again. I mean, that's a long, long road. Let's focus on Furman and then the next one. So
Yep. I actually have Gonzaga going farther this year than I think their numbers indicate because there's nobody talking about them.
it's fair.
Offensively, they can score 20 before you know it. Defensively, they're not that good this year, and that's the issue. I don't have them winning it. For me, it was a toss up between. I was going with the Midwest schools, Houston or Texas. Texas is playing really well right now. And they have a guard that transferred that I wish we could have got a couple years ago when he transferred from Minnesota. Carr, he can go get buckets, kind of similar to the Houston guys, but he's even better at it. Texas, we'll see how they do with their interim coach since they lost their coach.
There
But
you go.
Yeah, this
but
is
I like
what I'm saying.
Texas
The
a lot
stat.
too.
Yeah, I never understand these graphs, but I love this one because the guy circled it and he said, this is really good. And he pointed right at Houston. So
Yeah,
that's all I need to see.
but I think that that's a telling stat that they could go on the run like that and they don't give up many. I think that's
I
a big thing.
assume because they're low, it happens very quickly, right? Like Virginia might
Yeah,
go on
so
a
I think it
6-0, but it's
was.
very high because it takes a long time, or 8-10-0 or whatever.
I think it's the left right axis is teams that give up or that have the most runs, and then the up
Yeah.
down is runs that go against them. So I mean, the ones on the
Okay.
top right they'll have a lot, but they'll give up a lot, and then the bottom right is they'll have the most.
I thought it was how fast it happens, but that makes sense.
Yeah, so I mean, if you see it also in there, Furman is right in that most streaky category. So that's a team that is going to be giving up a lot of runs and going to be having a lot of runs. So if we control the pace, you see we're down in the least streaky category because of that pace control. I think that's the key to this game is if we could hold down that pace.
That was our Carolina game a little bit in the tournament, right? We'd go up, we'd be up by 9. Next thing you know, it was a 1-point game. We go up by 7 or 8, and next thing you know, it's a 1-point game. But I get it. It's NCAA tournament. I know we have UMBC in our history, and people want to make things up and believe it. But I've played in these games and seen a lot of them. It's not happening for Furman today. I'm sorry.
All right, we're knocking on wood right there, Doug. Right with
Yeah.
Dave hates my predictions. I don't even want to tell you my score today, but that's okay.
No,
Dave,
do your predictions
what's
all day on the pregame show.
As you asked me, what's your pick outside of Virginia? Who are you thinking has a good chance this year?
I was torn between Purdue and Duke in that game, for example. Purdue just hasn't been able to get over the hump. Obviously, we prevented that in 2019 to get to the Final Four. Their freshman guards scare me a little bit with ability to get their own shots, and then people can shut down Edey maybe a little bit more. So I do like if UCLA was healthy. I really wish they would have been healthy. I think they could have really made a run. Their defense was really good, but they have 2 guys out. Arizona's point guard is out. I really like the way Arizona's playing. They have an All-American that's really, really good, plus another big, and their guards were good, but their point guards hurt. I'm telling you, all the ones that are iffy. I mean, the ones that are the healthiest, it seems like they're playing the best are Texas and Houston. Kansas is playing well. Purdue is still playing well. They won both the regular season and their tournament. Duke is 17-1 with their full roster, right? UConn was good at the beginning. I think they're good again. They could sneak up on some people. Marquette has been playing well. And then my sleeper that when they're healthy, beat Kansas at Kansas by 20 is TCU. So if you can go into Fog and beat Kansas by 20 with a healthy lineup, that team can be scary. Their best player has been back for about 5 or 6 games, and they only lost to Kansas at home by like 2 or 3 as well. They beat Texas. They split with Texas as well. So that's my sleeper. without the sleeper, I'd still go Houston or Texas as kind of the ones that are playing the best. Texas scares me a little bit with their lack of size and rebounding, whereas Houston, man, they just bludgeon people. Like they make everything hard. You're going to have to go beat them. They're not going to beat themselves.
Yeah, I mean Houston. I think, like I said, they're my biggest pick. I would like to see us and Duke in the Final Four. I think that would be a great matchup if we get another shot at them. But I mean, obviously, right now we're focusing on Furman, and then we'll move on from there.
That's right.
All right, we got about 3 minutes before tip off. We're gonna get some predictions in. Start with you, Dave. What are we thinking?
So I posted yesterday, my key to this game is, does Virginia have 16 by the 11-minute mark? And do they score 33 in the first half? Because if they can score at a decent rate, it'll take some of the pressure off. So I'll go 67-61.
Ooh. 6-point win.
Who's your MVP of the game?
I'll go Gardner.
All right, Fresh, what about you?
I think it's going to be. I think we're going to score a little more than usual. I think 70. What was I right last time? 72-60. I want to say the same thing. I'm going to say I think the pace is going to be a little quicker because of them, not necessarily because of us. I'm going to go 75-62 Virginia. I think it's going to be a little bit of a slow start. I love Dave's idea about the 16 points by 11 minutes. It's too specific for me. And it might not be that. It might be like 8-8, and we're all freaking out in the whole thing. But I think we'll get going. I think during the game we're gonna figure some things out. They're gonna work against them. I don't think they're gonna have the luxury to be able to figure things out against us that are gonna work, so to speak, unless it's that guard to guard. If they get their guards going against ours, I'm not as worried about their big men. And if they're just making 3-point shots, that is what it is. But we can adjust. So what was my score again?
Fresh?
I'm staying with it. MVP. I'm gonna say that. If you did a true MVP, most outstanding player is going to be Reese. Floor game, assists, rebounds, steals, efficiency, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to go with, I'm going to say it's going to be Armon or Jaden. So let's say Jaden. I think Jaden, he's shown he's really, really into this, tournament time and proving himself on the big stage. He's extremely motivated.
Yeah.
And he had the down game against Duke, but he had monster games against Carolina and Clemson.
Yeah, I think for sure that Jaden and Armon are definitely looking forward to this. This is their first opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament, and I think that this is a big stage for them that they've really been looking forward to. Disappointed that they couldn't get it this year, and I think they're going to come out ready to go. I got the Hoos. I'm going to say 69-60, and like you said, I think Jaden and Armon. But I think Reese is going to have. I saw a little bit at the end of that Duke game. There's one play towards the end that he came out and I could just see that he was like, I don't care. I'm not passing on anyone. I'm taking over. And he took on a couple of guys and took it right to the hoop. And I want to see a little bit more of that from him. But I think that he's going to have a great game as well. I think that as long as we have a couple of guys going, I think that we're going to be doing well. And the other key to the game, I think that if Ben's cheering and Ben's got supporting everyone, I think that we're gonna have a good game.
Ben's been on a post-injury tear of publicity and doing shows and NIL. Like
Pringles can.
Pringles can.
He's also doing interviews, and he was on with Sam Burnell, or was he on with Sam Burnell? No, Caden was.
Caden was latest, but he has been on there. Yeah.
I think that Ben is. Ben's found his new calling after this interview. I think he's going to be the new social media manager for the University of Virginia.
/ coffee shop owner in Charlottesville.
Coffee shop owner, frozen yogurt.
Maybe with Anna.
It's coffee
Anna.
shop in the morning, frozen yogurt in the afternoon.
Yeah.
He could do it with Anna Williamson. Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get it going. Tip off.
All right, guys.
See you guys.
We've scored. Let's go. 2-0. Good start. Let's go.
14 to go. Go Hoos.
Go Hoos.